develop design concepts around key issues that impact society. These teams are The Crunch Design Challenge is an opportunity to bring USC students together to develop design concepts around key issues that impact society. These teams are made up of at least a hustler, a hacker, and a designer, and is offered mentorship through the Innovation Lab, all the way from concept to prototyping.
Our Crunch project is called Theia, which actually means the Greek goddess of sight and vision, which is appropriate because we've built a handheld portable braille reading device that can take a picture of any kind of text, whether it's printed or handwritten, and convert it in a single device into refreshable braille, or at the same time an audio feed.
Scoop, or the USC Student News app, is a news aggregator that will become the single launching pad for all of the student-produced news publications here on campus.
Our project is an online platform connecting artists and performers to venues and event planners. And through this web application, artists can create their own personal profiles.
It's kind of the first social media platform designed to get people off of social media and into a room and actually just listening to music.
Our project is called Tot. It is an application designed to help parents raise their babies.
The project's basically about how we can take a record of how the development of the baby, how both physically and emotionally.
Well, it's called the Recycle Belt, and it's designed to improve recycling. It goes on the exterior of waste bins, and civilians put recyclables in it, and then other civilians bring those to municipal recovery facilities.
We knew we had a community and a service we wanted to provide, but really didn't have necessarily the background or expertise to know exactly what we needed to show investors to put the money behind what the idea that we were envisioning. I'd say what Crunch has given us is the tools, resources, and assistance that we really needed to understand each step in the process.
It's about exposure to different kind of technologies, different kind of experience, and different kind of people and settings. That sets the whole thing apart. And the Crunch is a platform that provides you with all these things.
As I've brought it from concept to prototype, I've been receiving feedback from the participants in Crunch and using that feedback to improve on the product design and the prototype video and various other things involved with the endeavor of bringing a new idea to the fore.
None of us can do this alone. So, I mean, the biggest challenge is find the good people, find the right people who have those skills, and we can work together.
It's not just a workshop, but it's some place where we get together and we really work things out and build off it.
We both are like engineering students. We are always fascinated about how technology, how the society is changed based on technology. So we want to get, and since Crunch is a design competition that offers a platform for students to do competition to show your innovation, show your idea. So we think it's a very cool place.
So another year of crunching has happened, and I think the students are really excited. We did some great things today. Or over the year. We're definitely fortunate to have Z. Hawley here with us, who's Vice Provost of Innovation here at USC, who will be providing the first, second, and third place awards to our Crunch participants.
Thanks, Erin. And as I asked myself, and I was thinking back on what is the significance? Why are these events and these types of competitions like Crunch so important? And I thought back on the history of human progress. And I thought back to about 10,000 years ago when humans hit a watershed moment. We began to settle in cities. And at that same time, we began to invent. Coincidence? I don't think so. And maybe we had invented a little bit before then, but really, before that, we built on each other's ideas so slowly that it took 30,000 years between the time that between mining was invented and metallurgy. That's how slow things happened. But once we cast aside our hunter-gatherer ways and we were settling in the cities and ideas started bouncing around between individuals, growing and improving, It led to a giant explosion of innovation. The alphabet, currency, cement, bread, measuring sticks, writing, all those sort of things, aqueducts, they all started happening around the same time. So obviously the interplay of people and their ideas is a critical ingredient to innovation. And that's really the idea behind universities like USC and places like the Annenberg Innovation Lab. Today we're at the edge of a new revolution, this time due to technology and the internet. And that enables us to collaborate in ways that we've never seen before. And I like to kind of sometimes think of it as a digital campfire, in a way. And this can be really scary for stuffy, old-fashioned types. Paradigms are upended and existing models are shifted, and that could be really scary. But the good news is that there are places like USC that embrace innovation and they're not afraid to seize the opportunity to explore and redefine the future. So as Aaron mentioned, I'm the Vice Provost for Innovation, and I lead the USC Stevens Institute for Innovation. We're a university-wide resource in the Office of the Provost that help faculty and students turn their ideas into impact. And we're just one of the examples of USC's vision in embracing innovation. Another one, of course, is the Annenberg Innovation Lab. Over the last year and a half, it's become a powerful new force on campus. It's been an honor to serve on the board. And whether it's harnessing collective intelligence, exploring the interplay of youth and media, or defining the future of journalism like you've been seeing today, the lab is pioneering the future of communications and media. And it's really been rewarding for our team to be working with theirs to really think about ways that we might be able to advance some of these innovations out into the private sector, figure out how to start new companies. And a lot of that involves nurturing more of a culture of innovation all across campus and developing that ecosystem around the university and that community so that it can actually support these ventures as they leave the university. Just one example, over the last 3 years, spin-out companies that are based on USC research have raised $380 million. And that's really validation from the outside private sector that these things could be the next big thing. So USC is a really exciting place to be doing that right now. And I say the Crunch competition is particularly exciting for me because it inspires students to try their hand at advancing a new idea. And I think back to starting my first venture. I was a graduate student at MIT, and my 2 college friends and I had a crazy idea. But I have to admit that if it weren't for a competition, it was the MIT's business plan competition, we probably would have never gotten around to putting together a business plan. We wouldn't have had the connections and the mentoring and all those great resources that would go on to inspire us to start a business for real. I'm glad I didn't actually know how hard it was going to be because I don't think I would have done it. But after a lot of false starts, many late nights, lots of uncertainty and adventure, for 6 years, we finally sold the company for $13 million, and that was the first venture. And for me, that process was really mystifying. The first time that you start a company, the first time you try something like that, and it's one of the hardest things I'd ever done. And I think that's why it really inspires me anyway to be involved and be so passionate about helping other people through that same process. The entrepreneurial energy on campus is incredible. It's a really exciting time to be doing this sort of thing. The Crunch competition is just one facet of the Annenberg Innovation Lab, of course, but for me it's probably the most promising because of the potential it has to pull students in around this campfire of brilliant minds and inspire a whole new generation of innovators, really for the future. So I'm really pleased to be able to announce this year's winners. Did you have a few announcements you wanted to make first? No? Okay, so the first place winner is, and if you can come up, it's Thea, Meryl Alper, and Sanarajraj Rajendran. Sorry, I thought they were going to speak. We'll do it at the end. Second place, Flashpack and Leonard Hyman. Adi Raghuvanshi. And what's especially exciting is that they were here last year, and they've sort of worked on it, and they've come up with a new twist on it. So it's really great to see these ideas advance. And then third place, Tot Hao
you so much, C, and congratulations to all the winners. So I also just wanted to do a quick mention and say a few thanks. We had 3 judges this past year, Karen Kerr, who was actually with the Stevens Institute of Innovation, Francois Barr, who's here in the audience with us, who's a senior research fellow and part of our research council, and Sam Teller, who runs Launchpad LA, which is one of the accelerator programs here in Los Angeles. When the 3 of them got together, they had a small honorarium, and they decided to actually pull their honorarium together because there was one project that they felt really was something that everyone needs to know about, which is Joseph Volbel's work with Recycle Belt. So Joseph, I think you're in the audience. Wave right there. So John talked a little bit about Crunch this morning, and I just want to give you a little under-the-hood features of what goes on here. So we had 9 projects submit. There were about 15 projects going on, but with 50 students participating. And we encouraged all of them to build teams with hustler, hacker, and designer. So though the project lead, who sometimes I think is either the hustler or the hacker, came up, all of them had a pretty well-rounded team. And then we did an 8-week workshop series over this past semester, and they were volunteer. We encouraged them to at least participate in 3, and we put them on 2 nights out of the week, varying it because every school schedule changes every week. So if we learned that from last year, if we only put it on 1 day during the week, we lost out on some students participating. So we really tried kind of mixing it up this year. This is an evolving process, and I think you'll even see next year that Crunch will continue to morph and change. But one of the things that you'll see in the winners this year is that we really encourage them to focus on our mission, which is around media, culture, and society. And then the other thank yous is I could not have done this without other people that continue to not only help in the background, but also lead some of the workshops, because there were 8 workshops. So Kathy Kareem was like my counterpart in this whole project, really helped pull it together. Dale McDonald made sure that all of the technical infrastructure with every prototype that came out, pretty much the lab in general. And John Taplin came in and ran a workshop on pitch sessions. And Ann Balsamo was there before she went on sabbatical, helping to build the teams and really foster interdisciplinary work. So thank you all of you for helping participate. So our first place, last year we spread the money out, and almost everyone got something, but one of the first place winners, eGroove, which was New Quill last year, became the first startup in residence. And Ryan Harper is probably in the audience, and there you are, Ryan. And he has actually not only been a huge part of the lab, he joined our technical staff, but on top of that, we really helped to make sure to connect him with sponsors, to connect him with VC and funding, and reaching out to some of the companies that he went and pitched eGroove to. And I'm very excited to share with you that eGroove is now an application in iTunes that you can download. So definitely take a look at that. So moving us along, I'm going to invite all the 3 winners up one at a time, and we're going to start a Pechacucha. So Pechacuchas, we did a shortened version. It's 12 slides in 20 seconds. They have 4 minutes total, or I start like pulling them off the stage with my cane. And in that time, they're going to pitch you their idea, so get ready.
Hi, so I'm Meryl. I'm a PhD student here at Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism, working with my partner Raj, who's a master's student in electrical engineering at Viterbi, and I'm going to present to you Theia. Theia, which means the Greek goddess of vision, is a piece of assistive technology. So that's defined as products or devices or equipment, whether acquired commercially, modified, or customized, that are used to maintain, increase, or improve the functional capabilities of individuals with disabilities. So our device puts reading within reach. For the 285 million people globally, 285 million people who have visual impairments. So our device takes print or handwritten text and converts it by taking a picture. And it can either be a standalone device or a wraparound case for something like an iPhone or an iPad, and turns it into Braille or audio. So why turn text and handwritten materials into Braille? There's copyright protection in some countries preventing access to Braille digital materials. Reading file formats aren't standardized. Books aren't all digital all around the world. And there's a sociocultural context to all of this. You know, it's not just technology alone, but services, people, and policies. Those 6 million, many have additional disabilities, so not everybody can read Braille. But the percent is also slightly, there's a lot of improvements going on, but it's still a worldwide issue. So Braille, what is the impact of Braille literacy? So essentially the same cognitive, emotional, social benefits of reading print, educational opportunities, employment, and really important, and independence, feeling like you have a collective and self-efficacy. So current technologies, huge shortcomings. Integration, that was a tweet that somebody written how the Kindle Fire, completely inaccessible for people with visual impairments. Not so great. People get angry when they can't express themselves, and they do. Cost, that device does the same thing that Theia does, or not the same thing, but doesn't have any Braille component, is $1,000. Ours would be $200 to $300. Size, portability, and simplicity. This is a proof of concept that we are working on. The actual cells to build a full working prototype, Braille cells are very expensive. 6 dots, 8 dots if you want to make letters stand for capital letters. You're able to read it if you run your hand over it. The system that we're tackling is an integrated system, so all in one device. So what you're seeing here is this broken up into lots of different little parts, so capturing the physical text, something just saying hello, and it's taking a picture of it and converting it through optical character recognition. And then in this scanned version of hello, we're trying to actually build a micro-electromechanical system with different ways that the refreshable Braille will push up. So from electromagnetic to an acoustic way to push it up. And that's also the thing that needs the most money, because it's a challenging resource to put together, again, because it's such a part of a integrated system. So outcomes of Theia: interaction, real-time participation, increased quality of life, independence, mobility, productivity, daily routines, inclusion. It's not just about access, but sustained social, political, and economic opportunities. And the ultimate goal of those is also for this to spark increased research and passion in other people to develop more assistive technology devices. So there's room for lots of e-readers that are accessible. So future directions. Participatory design, I think, is a really important component when you're working with populations with special needs. There's really cool stuff that other universities are doing at Georgia Tech, at Stanford, where the Braille sort of meets your fingers on a touch screen. In other cases, there was something there that was a Braille case, but it covered the screen, which is kind of purposeless because the screen can also do some cool things. So yes, limitless potential. And before I say anything, I want to thank Erin, John, Dale McDonald, the Braille Institute of Los Angeles, the Junior Blind of America, and the Center for the Partially Sighted. Those are our emails and my Twitter address. That's it.
Help. Awesome.
I'm Leonard Hyman. I'm a public policy student here, and I'm here to talk to you about FlashPack, a project I'm working on with my amazing engineer, Adi Raghuvanshi. And basically, FlashPack is Kickstarter with a twist. It's a new way to crowdsource and crowdfund political and advocacy advertisements. Basically, it's a way for nonprofits and political campaigns to draw upon the enthusiasm of its members and supporters to create media using a 5-step process: pitch, fund, film, vote, share. So I'll walk you through each of those steps. Say that you're a nonprofit and you have a particular agenda that you're trying to push. Maybe there's a bill in Congress that you're trying to kill, or just, you want to advance the services that you provide. That's your pitch. Post that on FlashPack and send a blast out to your members. The second step is pledging. This works just like Kickstarter. People can chip in 10 or 20 bucks, and people don't get charged until it reaches a certain threshold, say $10,000. We think this will actually encourage a lot more people to donate because it's shareable, and it's a specific call to action. Unlike Kickstarter, when the threshold is reached, it becomes a cash prize, so that the best ad, the one that receives the most votes, is the one that receives half of the funding. Which brings me to step 3, film. Once the threshold has been reached, anybody can film the ad that's been pitched. So if you have a great idea for how to make a certain advocacy ad, grab your friends, grab your camera, and go. Anybody can submit the ad, and you're competing against all of the other ads that have been submitted. The fourth step is voting. You only get a chance to vote on the ads if you've donated to the project. And I think that also motivates people to pledge towards it. You want to have a say in the campaign that represents you, and filmmakers will want to rally their friends in order to win that cash prize, so they'll want them to chip in 10 or 20 bucks. As I mentioned, half of the money goes towards the winning filmmaker. The other half goes to buying ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, to pushing the message out there, to helping political campaigns and nonprofits spreading the word. So what does this accomplish? We see it accomplishing 3 things. The first thing is efficiency. The nonprofit has spent $0 in the creation of all of these ads. And I want to remind you that it's not just the winning ad that got created, but dozens of ads that were vying for that prize. And all of those will be shareable. And it did this through tapping into the passion of its members and supporters. The second thing that it can accomplish is it can create movements. If there's an issue that you care about, but there isn't an organization advocating for it, whether it's corruption at City Hall or potholes on your road, you can create a pitch and organize among the people who are interested in the same thing through this process. And the third thing that it accomplishes, and I think this might be the most important, is that it creates momentum. It's a participatory process where people have been pledging and donating and voting and filming these ads, so people will be emotionally invested in the campaign. It's a capacity building exercise for nonprofits, and people will want to be engaged with the campaign moving forward. I guess it either stopped or I have more time than I thought, but my closing line is just that it's not just about creating videos, but about working together. Thank you very much.
So you probably have been staring at this screen for many hours today. I will let you rest your eyes for a few minutes. So when I received the email about the results of this crunch competition, I have to say that I was really surprised and really disappointed with the judges. So I went to the Crunch website and started looking at the judging criteria. So I'll read them to you. The first one is multidisciplinary teams. I think I got an amazing team. We are 6 students from 3 different schools: communication, engineering, and psychology. And 2 of my teammates are here, sitting downstairs. Hackers and designers, modders, psychologists, we work together every week in the last 4 months. We're starting from scratch. Attendance of lab events. We have attended 7 out of the 8 lab events throughout the semester. Community matters. We have been talking to people inside and outside the lab, in the psychology department. We have created a project webpage when we started pursuing this idea last year. Social impact and lab's mission. The focus of thought is young children and the social and communication skills, who are the future of our society and culture. And I think that aligns very well with the lab's mission on communication and the children. And accessibility. The primary target audience of thought is parents with newborns. We have spent weeks on the design of the user interface to make it as easy as possible to use. So what's left? The last item, the concept. The problem is just that our idea is not good. What is the idea anyway? So thought is a tool for parents with young children to keep record and share record of the children's development using modern technologies, such as smartphone and computer data visualization. With thought, parents can easily track events like feeding, diaper change, height and weight, sickness, or new words spoken by the babies. That sounds useful, but you're probably thinking, are these guys crazy? They want to grab the $15,000 prize money with such a simple app? Yeah, right, of course not. There are 2 big ideas behind this, and I only have time for one of them today, so let me start with telling you something about child development. Babies grow extremely fast in the first few years. In the meantime, they are vulnerable to developmental problems like ADHD, autism, learning disabilities. I wish I can show you some pictures of boys and girls with autism, but obviously I can't today. So, children with autism have impairments in social interaction and communication. They have problems making eye contact when they are playing with others. They start to speak much later than normal children. And the newest estimation of autism in the United States is 1 child in 88. But what's important here is not the exact number, but every year many children are born with these developmental disabilities. So think about cancer and autism. There are something similar in the sense that there is a huge impact to the life of patients with cancer or autism. And we haven't found a cure for them yet. The median age of cancer patient is 66 in the United States. And the median age of children with developmental disorders is somewhere between 4 to 6 years. So those children have to live with this illness for their entire life. If someone in your family has cancer or autism, what would you do? What can you do? Or what do you hope you have done? There is one thing you can do, and you definitely should do. That is learn the signs of those illnesses, identify them as early as possible, and take good care of him and her. So the problem is that how can you identify like autistic children while playing with them during daily life? Of course, parents can read books, articles about the science of developmental disorders, as I do in my research. But for busy parents, they don't have the awareness all the time to find the right information and consume it. So what we are doing is to design a set of activities for parents and the children, which guide the parents' attention to those signs while they are having fun with their children. For example, we have activities focused on imitation, on eye contact, on emotion. So use the emotion activity as an example. There are six core emotions in human: happiness, sadness, surprise, anger, fear, and disgust. I don't know how many of you can count them, but many parents can't. So we have an activity that let the parents to take a picture of the child for each emotion. What's important is during this activity, they are observing the child. They are paying attention to the emotion and the facial expression of the child in a way they never would without this activity. So back to the judging criteria. I don't know if you think this is a useful tool, if this is a poor idea, or if this is the right thing to do. But to the judges, probably not so much. But that's exactly the reason why we are doing this project, to raise the awareness of the society, parents, and the judges on child development and the developmental problems. With thought, we can make a difference to the lives of millions of children who are born with these disabilities. Thank you.
And that wraps Crunch for the year. So let's give a round of applause for all the winners. Thanks so much. Great job. So we're going to move, we're going to get up and stretch and move, and as we move, we're going to move to the other room in B, where Mike Bonifer and his friends from Game Changers is going to take us through a fun activity to think about where do we go from here. Thank you.